You talked about coaching turnover, and I talked about that as well. Right, 3 years, coaches turnover, roster turns over, continuity, chemistry. How big is that? Not just in, let's just say, football. How big is that in
Man,
any team atmosphere, bro?
it's
Whether
bigger in
it's
football.
corporate or what?
No, you could get away with it in basketball. You really could.
Okay.
Basketball, you could get 5 new guys, because it's a lot, But in football, you have a line that has to, work well together. You had 3 offensive line coaches in 3 years.
Mm.
In football, it's so important because you know as well as I do, if you got 10 guys doing their job and one guy missing assignment, it's probably going to be a negative play. Unless you just got Barry Sanders or somebody else back there that make up for it. But I just think that at some point, and hopefully this is the staff. I think if people give him time and this staff here sticks, they're going to be good down the line. Just got it. But the problem is, people expect them to be they were 8-4, so people expect them this year to be 10-2, and the next year win the national championship. And that might I hope they do, but that might not necessarily be the case.
Quickly, speaking of defense, like you said, our defense is a dude.
Yeah.
I watched Robert Livingston his first year. Everybody wanted me to give a take when he first got hired. I said, I didn't even know who the dude was. I'm not trying to be funny, sir. I'm being honest. I don't think anybody knew who this guy was until he was actually hired. Me personally, I'm saying so far.
I did because my cousin played for him in Cincinnati. So that's my cousin played in the secondary for him in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Shameless plug, Trey Flowers. But I knew who he was. But I think that one of the things that he's learning, he never held a coordinator title before he came to Colorado. Cool. And what people don't understand, you still have to give guys opportunities to grow. It's like anybody at your job, you don't really just bust in your job. Just like I remember you doing this right here. Matter of fact, we started together 5-6 years ago, just to watch how you've gotten better over the years. I mean, you really, mastered
this. We're using Be Live.
Correct.
I remember that. Yeah.
So you got to give Coach Prime. I watch him. He's getting better as a coach. Like people don't understand that the longer you do this stuff, the better you're gonna get. So he needs a little time because I think like the kid that left. I mean, to me, he was a bad boy. Hood, Coach Hood. I'm telling you, he won. Yeah. He won SEC Player of the Week, like maybe 2 weeks ago. That kid could go, I think Coach Livingston has run his defense, but man, something got to give because they can't stop a run no matter what. And we all know, I don't care if you can have Charles Woodson, Ronnie Lott, Deion Sanders, and Darryl Green, and if somebody's running down your throat, it's gonna be hard, man. I don't care who it is.
It's gonna be hard. But to that point, that's kind of what I was going to with the Robert Livingston. So when he comes up, I don't know the guy, right? I've heard of Charles Kelly prior too.
Right.
So people like for me, they want me to give an assessment of things sometimes, and sometimes I can't because I don't have any baseline. I don't have anything to go off of. So as I watched him last year, and I said, okay, like anything, we all grow, we all do these things. Coming in this year, and I think this is a part of that revolving door. You can't stack Legos on things, right? Because as you go through a season, I know you got 6-7 months prior to the season. All of that is fundamental, foundational stuff. You're not really stacking plays. You're stacking fundamentals. You're stacking foundational principles. All of that stuff in the coaching, right? As you go through the season, then you start stacking your plays and your installs, right?
Right.
The problem, again, an issue I guess I have, maybe I'm old school because it would be when you constantly taking people out, you got to constantly do the same thing because the guy that's coming from, I don't know, San Diego, the guy that's coming from UCLA, the guy that's coming from Alabama, they don't know your principles. They don't know those things. That's the foundation of it, right? That's where you spend the most time. So I say all that to say this year, I see them doing a lot of the same things they did last year. And I'm seeing the reason that is because of so much, the amount of turnover where you have to kind of start again from the reset button, kind of like Groundhog Day in essence. Right. And so I say all that to say, I think the defense will get better over time as they learn it. but it's hard. And right now, these offensive minds are smart. They know how to manipulate. And right now, defensively, they're being manipulated through formation. If you watch them, when they giving up these plays, and Houston showed that, Houston showed this, when they formation you in motion, they can determine what you're
in. My boy cut out? Yeah, Coach Hayes then cut out. So there you go.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Well,
you went out for, but you back. Yeah, you good.
Okay. My bad, because y'all hear me? But anyway,
I hear you now.
So with that being said, you got to start, like you say, stacking these things and getting people to understand this stuff. And that's a hard thing to do consistently. And then to go back to you said about Georgia Tech, they're bringing in 11 starters. Think about that. 11 returning starters. So they're stacking domino.
You talking about 11 starters on defense?
No, just overall. Yeah. So if it's 5 and 6, 6 and 5, 4 and 8, whatever.
No, but what they did, what I liked about Georgia Tech and what they did, because I know that staff very well, like they mixed in a lot of these younger guys that they thought were going to be good. See, you know this, like I tell people, football is a very simple sport, especially when you talk about, high school and college to me, because we know it. We've coached before. We know as a senior coach, you saw Chris Leary and you was like, that boy gonna be good. You knew he was gonna be good. So what'd you do? You put him out there on special teams.
Sure
you made sure he was a freshman, but you knew that he was gonna be like that. And those are the things that as coaches, those are the things, like there's guys at Colorado that can flat out go. But, the world don't know, because all they see is they don't get to see the practices. They don't get to see, when game time comes, they never see the guy. And I think that—
I don't know about that, AG. These doggone Colt members swear they watch one well-off media video. They know everything. They only know what they want you to see. And I know, but I'm finna just tell you what, hey, you finna share my pain, brother. You finna share my pain tonight. They think they see one well-off media video. If you notice, they've never showed you a clip from the beginning to the end, because you get to see the formation. You notice they always show you the clip.
They can't. That's smart. They would be idiots to do that. They would be idiots to do that.
Exactly. But you can't tell the Colt members that.
Yeah, we had that conversation, man. With me being a parent, me dealing with the parents, I used to try to, the parents would be frustrated because they would listen to the Colt members. And, me being around football and being around this thing for as long as I have been, I can always tell them, man, you can't pay attention to that stuff. You can't. Like, as a parent, you want your kid to get an education. You want to get in the game. You want them to stay injury-free. But you just got to have your kid, focus on trying to become the best kid they can be, the best player they can become. I think, not like, just like Stobbs, he came in and boy, he was great. He was this, he was that, all that kind of stuff.
It was Delaware.
And then they played Houston, and I didn't personally think he played bad. But, everybody's like, oh, he's the worst thing since sliced bread. And it's like, like me personally, I don't get too high, like, because the same fans that love your child will turn on your child.